Hello everyone, hope everyone's having a good day today. I just wanted to welcome you back to my page and to what we're doing here. Talked about on my previous video that the goal is to share a cigar and a story. We talk about just things from my life. I want to share about things that I'm thinking about, things that are going on, things that have gone on. And I talked about that because what I do usually when I have a cigar is just relax and think and chill and just kind of unwind. And so I thought I would do that with y'all. So today I'm smoking this La Roma de Cuba, Mi Amor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I've never had one, but I got it the other day in my cigar.com box that I get monthly. My wife got me that as a Christmas present, started last year and continued on with it. So we're going to try it out today, see how it is, and talk about something that pretty important to me. Kind of a big life event that happened for me and my siblings last year. Last year on January 23rd, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, and passed away shortly after. So I kind of wanted to talk about that today and just really how that affected me, how that, it really affected all of us. But I think between my siblings and I, we all kind of have different perspectives on it and stories to tell. So I'll let them tell their story at some point if they want to. But as far as my story goes, we found out shortly after my aunt passed away. Actually, my dad's youngest sister, the year before last, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she fought it hard for about 7 months, and it finally took her. The hard part was that it was just really just a few days after her visitation and all that my dad found out about his. But anyway, to give you a little backstory, I'm the oldest child in my family. My parents divorced when I was about 6 years old. I have a younger sister that's 2 years younger than me and a younger brother that's 4 years younger than me. And I'm sure somewhere along the way on these videos you'll get to meet them and talk to them. But my dad remarried and eventually had another child, and my youngest sister is about 12 years younger than me. So the four of us are all pretty close. We all have been pretty close, and recently though we've gotten to be closer partly because of my dad's diagnosis. I like that. Pretty mild, not too sharp or anything like that. It's pretty good. I'm gonna enjoy it. But growing up, we weren't really that close with my dad. I don't want to. The goal of this is not to try to bash him or paint him in a bad light or anything. It's just kind of the way it was. So my parents divorced when I was 6, so we had visitation with him. We saw him like every other weekend, and we'd spend the weekend with him 2 times a month basically. And we all grew up playing sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball growing up, and my dad was a huge sports guy. Really, that's kind of what his priority was, and he coached it. He played it when he was younger, and he loved it. So he loved it when we played, and whenever we were done, that's kind of, I feel like, when the distance began. Whenever we just weren't that close, and I don't know. I ended up. I got married, I started a family, had kids, and when my kids were growing up and had birthday parties, my dad was always invited and we wanted him there and all that. And when they were really young, it was kind of a coin flip as to whether or not he would come. And if he would come, he wouldn't stay real long. He'd just, I gotta go. So, we just never really felt like we were a priority. And again, I'm not trying to badmouth my dad. I'm not trying to paint him in a bad light. I'm just telling it like it was, That all kind of started to change for me, I guess. That's why I say I think we all have different perspectives, my siblings and I, because I started coaching basketball at the high school level about 5 years ago, and coached at a different school that I work at now, where I coach junior high ball. But once I started coaching, my dad and I, he was really interested, of course, being a sports guy, having coached himself. I mean, he wanted to help, and he wanted to know how we were doing and what was going on. And he helped me with a lot of things, and he was always interested, and he would always call and after games and stuff if he want to know if we won or how we played and what happened and all that. So I would say in the last 5 or so years, my dad and I were closer than we had been in a long time. And we would golf a few times during the summer, and it was better than it had been. I'll say it like that. So so my aunt, his youngest sister, my aunt passed away last year, 2024, on January 14th. And her visitation was a few days after that, on the 17th, I believe. But then about a week later, on January 22nd, I knew my dad was going in for some tests, and he had some problems and all that. But on the next day, I remember on January 23rd, I remember this pretty vividly, but it was a Tuesday morning, and I was sitting at my desk at the school and kind of just getting the day going. It was about 8:30 in the morning, and my sister Rachel called me, my youngest sister, and she was just hysterical, kind of crying on the phone, and I having a hard time understanding her, but she was calling me to tell me that Dad had cancer, that the tests and everything that he had the day before, the results came back, and that it was bad. It was really bad, and it was in his pancreas, it was in his liver. They thought it was probably in his lungs and maybe a spot on his spine. Just not a good prognosis. We didn't really know, I don't think, at that point how bad, but it was bad. So I left work. I left that day. I went to my principal and I told him what happened, and he said go. So I left, and from where I live and to Harrisburg, where he lived, where my sister lives, about 30 minutes. So I just got in the car and I called my wife. She was at work, and told her, and just cried. I just kind of cried all the way there. At that point, I didn't really know the extent of how bad it was, but there was just a lot of emotion, a lot of all over the gamut. I mean, I was sad, I was, disappointed, I was angry, there was a lot of regret, just a lot of guilt, and I don't know that there should have been or what, I don't know. I just know that it was tough. It was a really, really hard thing to hear, really hard thing to process, given the state of what, our relationship had been like for so long. And then, I felt like we were on a good track, kind of making it better. But when I got to my sister's house, my dad was there, my other aunt was there, my sister was there, of course. My brother came from his work, and our other sister lives about 4 hours away. So she couldn't come right then, but she came, of course, as soon as she could. But at that point, none of us really knew exactly how bad it was. My youngest sister, Rachel, is in the medical field, so she kind of helped us interpret all the lingo, from the tests and the results and all that kind of stuff. And the next few weeks were kind of a blur. He felt pretty good, even though he was in pain a lot. I mean, in terms of like just still being able to get up, and he had somewhat of a normal routine for a week or two. I mean, not really normal for him, but he wasn't to the point where he was just in the bed all the time yet. The community where we live, Harrisburg, has always been good. They were good to me when I was going through some stuff that I dealt with, which I'll share in another story. I'm a cancer survivor myself. When I was younger, a lot younger, but just the way that the community kind of rallied around my dad. There were lots of fundraisers and things that were had to help with medical bills and things like that. So we spent a lot of evenings, though. My family and I would drive down, after work, we'd go down and just be there with him, and be there with my sister and my siblings and whoever else was there, his friends and, other family members and everybody. It was just, it was one of those times where it was good and bad. It was bad as to why we all had to be there, but it was good just to be around loved ones and people that you cared about, and especially just to have time with him. We would sit and talk, and until he got to the point where he couldn't, but we just visit and just kind of reminisce and talk and tell stories and things like that. But we just spent a lot of time together, and it was really kind of that time, that month or so, that my siblings and I, we really grew closer. We were always pretty close, my brother and I especially, and then my sisters were pretty close, but now like the four of us are close. Like it really kind of brought us together, just because of how we had to endure some things through all that. But my dad wanted to fight. He wanted to fight the cancer. He wanted to do the chemo and all that, despite his prognosis. We didn't know if he could handle it. But the last week and a half that he was alive, he got real bad, like really fast, to the point where, he couldn't get up out of the bed himself. He had to have help, and he didn't want to eat, and all that kind of stuff that goes along with that. And we never got to start the chemo. By the time the insurance and all that approved it, he had went downhill so fast that it wasn't an option. And I remember it being a Sunday night, and he was supposed to start chemo the following morning on a Monday, where we were going to try to get him over there to do it because he wanted to do it, but we couldn't even set him up. And so we made the decision late that evening that there was no way he could go. And so we ended up that Monday, it had been February 26th, calling in hospice. And that day the hospice came in, and he literally lasted about 24 hours on hospice care. They took good care of him. But on Tuesday, February 27th, just over a month after his diagnosis, he passed away. So it's about a year ago today that he was diagnosed. I do miss talking to him after games. I missed this summer being able to go golf with him. And, Father's Day, of course, hit me a lot harder than I expected it to. It kind of caught me off guard, the emotions that just kind of came up, snuck up on me then. But I would say that, like anything, there's a lot of good that came from that whole situation. And of course, I miss my dad, and I wouldn't wish on anyone the experience he had, and the sickness, just how fast the cancer just attacked him and took his life. And but in terms of just looking back on it and seeing how the Lord works, and my siblings and I are closer than we ever were before. We talk a lot, all of us. We make it a point to. We're intentional with that, and I'm thankful for that. So the month that we had with Dad was not just about a chance to spend time with him, but with each other. So I'm thankful we had that. It also made me want to be a better father. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 21. He doesn't live here with us. He lives in another town now. My daughter is 19, and she's going away to college. I mean, she's still technically in the house, but she's going to college. And my youngest is 12, and he's in the house with us, of course. But I don't ever want my kids to feel some of the ways that I felt growing up. I don't want my kids to feel like they're not a priority to me. I don't ever want them to doubt that I want to see them or be with them or spend time with them or anything like that. I want to be a good father. I want to love them. I want to provide for them and protect them and be a good example for them of what a godly husband, a godly father looks like. So that's something that, you always want that, but after what happened with my dad, it just made me want that more for myself. I want my kids to grow up knowing what it's like to be a good dad, because they had a good example. They had a good example set for them, and that's my goal. That's that's my prayer for myself, and that's another thing that I feel like has come from all this. So anyway, I still struggle, a lot of days, and just want to pick up the phone and call him and ask him his opinion about a game or about, something like that, or, big Notre Dame fans, and, just excited about all that's happened this season with them. And, it would have been cool to, experience some of that with him too. So anyway, I'm gonna sit here, and it's cold out today, but I'm gonna sit out here and finish this and enjoy that. Enjoy it's a nice cold winter day, but anyway, I appreciate y'all joining me today. If you don't care to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and like I said, as we go through the year, I want to share stories like this with you guys and kind of let you in a little bit. So anyway, hope y'all have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.